Hi, my name is Emily Good and I am a mother of two, a yoga instructor, and also a reader. How's winter going for you? How's the cold? How's the gray? How's the days being so short that by 6 o'clock you feel like it's midnight? How's it going for you? Not so awesome here. I generally do not like this time. And so I wanted to learn more about that, learn why it feels that way. And I've learned some things. So what we're gonna do today is slow it down. We're gonna sit with that. We are going to sit with that. And we're gonna just do a nice, gentle, slow practice together. And we're gonna breathe into the winter. We're gonna sit with ourselves and do some things that feel good for the body. And thank you so much for being here. So go ahead and find yourself on your mat. I forgot to say that for the practice, you can have some blocks. You do not have to. You can have a strap. I am going to use this for a little hamstring stretch that we're going to do. So you can have this. You could just have a belt if you don't have this. You could use a scarf. You could use a tie. You could use a towel. So that's something that you could use. And I also have a laundry basket off to the side. Now I'm going to use that to put my legs up on at the end of practice before coming into Shavasana. So those are the little props I have here. I might grab a big pillow or a blanket if I felt so inclined. I could use that. You can use that. So if you want to pause the video and grab any of those things, you can. Otherwise, let's just get started. You don't need anything. So yeah, let's just get started. Now, one of my props I have is the block. I personally like to start out sitting on a block. It just is more comfortable for me. So that's what I'm going to do. Again, you could have a pillow, you could have a book that you sit up on, whatever you need to do. Just come to a seated pose. Just coming into the space, into the time. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you for trusting me. Any little movements that you need to find before finding stillness, go ahead and do that now. Shift however you need to. And just see if you can find comfort here. See if you can find stillness when you're ready to. So before manipulating our breath, I invite you to just check in. You might close your eyes here. You might just find a soft gaze on the floor in front of you, whatever you're comfortable with. Check in and notice how you're feeling. Anything that has happened earlier in the day, anything that is going to happen after this, your to-do list, all that stuff is all good. But right now, let's just see if we can come into this practice. Notice how you feel. Notice if the thoughts are racing. If they are, that is okay. No judgment here. Just see if you can let them go. Let them flow in and let them flow out. Notice that they come in. Maybe you think, oh, that's interesting. And then just come back to the way your body is feeling. Again, if it's easier for you to close your eyes to find a little bit of inward gazing, that's awesome. If you want to focus on something, maybe grab a candle and focus on that through the practice. Notice sounds that are coming into the room. Notice things that are happening. Everything is okay. We are at home right now. I personally have a 3-year-old here playing with his tractor, and that's okay. Just whatever sounds that are happening, whatever your daily life is providing to you, just allow it to be without trying to change anything.
I gotta get you.
It's hard. Sometimes, I will not lie to you. It's hard. But if we can breathe through that and we can allow it to happen and we can allow ourselves to flow through it, then that's a lesson, that's a blessing, and I'm here with you. So thank you for being here with me. So now that we have found our stillness, now that we've checked in, now that we've accepted that things will happen and that we are capable of just letting it flow, letting it happen, and still maintaining our inward gaze, let's go ahead and send our breath down to our belly. So as we inhale, we let the belly fill up with air. Maybe we pause at the top. And then let all that air out. Maybe we visualize breathing in warmth. Maybe we exhale light. So whatever that means to you, whatever you see there, if you don't want to do either of those things and you just want to focus on breath, then do that. And notice how you are able to sit in silence and stillness. Notice how that makes you feel. If you're feeling antsy here, if you're feeling like this is not the video I signed up for, that's okay. It's okay to be still. It's okay to be silent. And I invite you to sit with yourself and notice how you feel. You can do it. Let's go ahead and take 3 more full rounds of breath. Good. Excellent. Go ahead and find an opening of your eyes. We can, if you are sitting up on a block, you can go ahead and move that from you. Slowly move. We're in no rush here. We are taking it easy. So go ahead and just slowly move to all fours. So finding yourself in tabletop position. Okay, if you need to shift, go ahead. So I'm finding my knees underneath my hips. I have my hands underneath my shoulders. You can't see my hands, but they're underneath my shoulders. So what I'm gonna do here is keep my hips, keep my knees where they are, and I'm just going to walk my hands forward and I'm gonna place my forearms down. Puppy dog pose. We might even walk our hands out a little bit further and just let your chest melt down to the ground, to the mat. You might let your forehead rest on the mat. If that isn't comfortable for you, maybe you can play with a block, play with a book, maybe bring that, let the ground come up to meet you a little bit. I'm sorry, I'll move this closer so that you can see better. So yeah, you could bring a book or a block to, oh geez, I have my socks on. It's a home practice and it's free, so just enjoy. I'm gonna take my socks off here. Excellent. So yeah, knees are underneath our hips. We're just extending our arms out, having our forearms down to the ground. If it feels good for you to bring a block down so that you can relax your head on a block, do that. If you would prefer a pillow, grab one. Find something that feels good and just find yourself being still. If the shoulders feel tight, just notice that, that's okay. And you can just kind of slowly ease out of it and then take yourself back in. Allowing the breath to travel up the spine. Go ahead and take another full round of breath. And then slowly walk the hands back. Bringing the hands again underneath the shoulders, checking in with how you're feeling, checking in with the shoulders, taking a breath here, again noticing how you feel to be moving this slow. It can be uncomfortable, and if it does feel uncomfortable, that is okay. Sometimes we get lost. Go ahead and walk it back. Let's have a little chat here. Go ahead and do some little rolls with the wrists. Maybe you just send them around in a circle. We live in the days where there are so many distractions. There is always something to do. There's always something somebody's telling you you should be doing, whether that's social media or whoever else. So you always think that there's something you need to do. If you're not doing anything, it feels like you have to be doing something. And winter time is a time where we read books by the fire, where we slow it down, where we allow ourselves to be inside, to sip something warm. Just slow it down. That is my invitation for you in this practice, just to slow it down. It's okay. Okay, so coming back to tabletop position. Go ahead and kick your right leg out behind you. Just slowly, we're moving through water here. Go ahead and slowly bring that knee up and through, landing it between the hands. Go ahead and ease back. And hey, if your pigeon pose doesn't look like this, that is okay. Find the pigeon pose that feels good for you. Breathe, find yourself moving around, finding the pigeon pose that feels right for you. So what we're doing here is stretching that right hip. We're finding stillness with that, but first go ahead and move, find the pigeon pose that feels good for you. Once you find that, if it feels good to stay up on your fingertips, go ahead and do that. If you want to lower it down onto your forearms, then go ahead and do that. If want to do something further, go ahead and release your head down to the mat. Find the place that feels good for you. We are gonna hold this. We're gonna hold this. So I invite you to find the pose that feels best for you and then to ease into it and just to breathe into it. Breathe into that hip. Breathe into where you're feeling tightness. And breathe. Just focus on your breath. Focus on the way your body is feeling. Any thoughts that are coming in, go ahead and just let them go. Lightly coming in, lightly going out. You are not your thoughts. So go ahead and find some stillness here. I'm gonna stop talking and I'm gonna breathe into this just as I encourage you to do that. I'm gonna bring a block here because the ground is feeling far away from me right now. So I'm gonna just release into this.
You want to go? Yeah, go.
Go ahead and take 2 more full rounds of breath here. And lightly press into your fingertips, letting your fingers walk back, pressing your weight into those fingers. Go ahead and maybe lift up lightly, slowly, mindfully. Bring that leg back. Go ahead and widen out those knees. Bring those big toes together and knees forward. Here we just notice how one side feels versus the other side. We just notice. They might feel the same. Just allowing yourself to notice, to check in. Slowly moving up. Breathing as we move. And go ahead and check in with your foundations. Hands are underneath the shoulders, knees are underneath the hips, and go ahead and kick that left leg back. Breathing, and we bring that knee through, landing it between our hands, and we go ahead and ease back. Again, okay, so this hip for me is tight. So I'm just really gonna take the most lovely time. I'm gonna take my sweet time because this is my practice too. So I'm just gonna feel where feels the best for me. Where does it feel good for me to pause and sit? So now that I've found that, I'm going to decide if I want to stay up on my hands or do I want to lower it down? Do I want to lower it down to a block? I could just have the block laying here, or I could even lift it. Or of course I could take my forehead down to the mat, which again for me right now is not something that I want to do, so I'm not going to do it. I invite you to find what feels good for you. And let's pause here. Let's breathe here. Notice how you're feeling. Notice how your mind is doing, how your emotions are doing. Breathe into wherever you're at. Notice. sending breath into that hip, noticing how we feel. Go ahead and take 3 more full rounds of breath. Deep, deep breaths, deep inhales, deep exhales. When you're ready, if you do have a block, you can go ahead and remove that. Go ahead and slowly walk your hands back. Put your weight into your hands here. And slowly bring that knee back. Getting there slowly as you get there. Widening out those knees. Bringing the big toes together. And go ahead. And ease down to extended child's pose, noticing how your hips are feeling, noticing how your body is feeling. And breathe and find your stillness. Slowly coming up, moving nice and slow here. Go ahead and find yourself sitting on your butt, however you get there is good. Now I'm going to give you a couple options here. If you do have some blocks, grab them. This is going to be lovely. I'm going to set them up here, and then if I need to shift, I can do that, because this is our practice and we just got to find what works for us. So that's what we're doing here. Okay, so I'm going to set up this block right. I'm going to try to land my ribs on top of this block. Okay, I'm going to bring the bottoms of my feet together. So I'm in supine butterfly. So my knees are splaying out, the bottoms of my feet are together. I have my ribs on this, and I'm gonna just find what feels good for me. It can be hard, but just find what feels good for you. And this is lovely. So if you don't have blocks, I encourage you to get some. I think you can find them at like Five Below for, believe it or not, $5. So get them, or use some books, like I said. If you don't have them, it is perfectly fine. No judgment here. There's nothing that you need. Go ahead and just find yourself. You can bring your hands to your sides. I'm going to give you some freedom here. Maybe letting your shoulders roll down. You can have your hands in your lap, just clasped together. It's fine. Everything is fine. Or use your blocks if you've got them. So I'm just going to find this, and I invite you just to lay. Find your stillness. Allow yourself to be still. Allowing yourself to just release and breathe. We're going to hold this. Notice the quality of your thoughts. If your thoughts are racing in, you feel like you can't slow them down, maybe find a spot on the ceiling to focus on. send your breath there. Maybe put one hand on the belly, one hand on the heart. Let the hand on your belly rise with each inhale. Let the belly go with the exhale. Let the belly rise and fall. Focus on that. Notice your jaw. Notice if you're holding tension there. I just was. So I'm just going to see what I can do to release that. I'm just going to send breath there. When you're ready to move, go ahead and slowly find a little bit of movement. If you do have the blocks, maybe you'd roll over to your side and remove the blocks. Go ahead and come to your back. We're just going to do that little hamstring stretch. So lying on your back, your feet are on the mat. Go ahead and grab your strap, your belt. Go ahead and bring the middle of your foot to that strap or belt or tie or whatever it is that you have. And go ahead and see where you can take that foot to. Maybe find a little bit of movement first, or maybe you just find stillness. Breathing into that. You can find a slight little bend. You can have the legs straightened, whatever feels good for you. Breathe into that. And go ahead and switch legs. So go ahead and release that right leg. Go ahead and bring your left foot up. Just letting yourself slow it down. Feel that stretch. If you need to get a little more leverage, go ahead and do that. If you need to find some movement here, go ahead and do that. If your leg shakes a little bit, that's okay. And just breathing into that. Releasing when you're ready. Okay. Now, I am going to take my legs up the wall once we're finished with this. For the sake of time, my 3-year-old, my 10-month-old, I'm not gonna film it because I want to get this out there. So you can find yourself at a wall. I invite you to sit down as close as you can to the wall. Get your butt as close as you can to the wall before trying to extend your legs up the wall. But that is a wonderful pose for insomnia, for anxiety, for just allowing yourself to chill. So I invite you to find that and then find Shavasana. I'm just, for the sake of the video, going to just find Shavasana, and I invite you to stay there as long as you can. Take whatever movements, take whatever additional stretches you need. But go ahead and allow yourself to be still, to be silent. Come in, not right now, okay? Take your bike in the living room, please.
No, in the kitchen.
So finding stillness where you can. Finding silence where you can. Go ahead and come to your mat, go to the wall, do whatever you need to. Again, for the sake of this video, I'm not going to do that now at all. So I invite you though to stay with us as long as you need to. Thank you so much for being here. The calm, the warmth, the light in me bows to the calm, the warmth, the light in you. Namaste.